Hello everyone, it is I, Aimel. And nope, this is not for any draft league game of mine. I'm actually gonna be your analyst content for this season of the P4G. Remember when my good friend Owen did them for SPL? Well, now I'm gonna do them for P4G, just like I just said, right now. And I mean, you guys did like them when Owen did them, and I felt like wanting to do something similar one day. So here I am. He's not gonna do them for P4G, so I will be doing them. So I hope you guys will be happy to see this type of content again, but with someone else. I hope I'll be able to replace Owen. Owen was doing great. Hopefully, I won't be able to replicate how good he was able to do them, but I hope you guys will be happy that I do them anyway. But yeah, that's just analyst content. We just gonna go over each matchup and say what in theory seems to look good. Because I guess it's good to lay down what has to be said first. Is that the analyst content just consists of looking at the matchup and yeah, I'm just gonna say what I think looks good for each and every matchup. You can tell that I'm not saying like a script or anything. I've made notes to remember what to say, but that doesn't mean I made a script, so I'm trying to improve from there. But yeah, so what I say doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna be brought for every match. And again, it's just like, what I think looks good at first glance. Of course, if people were to use what I think looks good and they test it, and then you're gonna change it because I think it's not good. But you get the idea. There's a reason why people test. It's because even though it looks good on paper, it doesn't mean it's good on practice. But yeah, I'm gonna look over them and who I think has the advantage. I am purely basing everything on the draft and not the player themselves. Otherwise, it will be like very different to do. But yeah, also on top of that, at the end, if you guys just want to watch the notes for each matchup and everything, it's fine. But I'm thinking to separate myself from Owens that every week I will show a replay of a matchup I've made, using that I thought was good and everything, to just show how it worked in practice. Of course, it's just a replay that I've played against myself, so it's not the real match or anything. But yeah, I hope you guys will please this. Without further ado, let's just jump into the matchup, shall we? And as you can see on the side of these beautiful graphics made by the handsome CB Marcus. Very big thank you for him for doing these. Otherwise, I'll have to do something even less good showing. But yeah, so our first matchup of the week consists of Playmore played by General Toriel versus Sky LA. And you can see everything on the screen. Their exact Pokemon, the Terra type of the Terra Captain at the bottom. In the middle, it is the speed tier of each Pokemon, so from the fastest to the top and the slowest to the bottom. I don't want to go over their draft entirely, otherwise I'll be there forever. And just gonna jump into what I think looks good. Maybe mention some 7/8 mod that could have been brought. And then I will just say which side seems to be more advantaged over the other. And again, it's just purely hypothetical. That doesn't mean that they will win no matter what. So yeah, now let's just jump on what I think will be the better 6 of each matchup. So starting with Playmore. So the first Pokemon, of course, I want to talk about is the one is the most excited for. It is that big Rampardos. Yeah, sure, there's Pokemon like Bronzong on Kyle's side, but considering Rampardos can have the speed jump on at least 5 Pokemon naturally, and then maybe a 6th one in Weezing with some speed investment, yeah, he can just punch through versus at least against half of Kyle's team already. So that's really good stuff for the Rampardos. Of course, if he wants to raw power with Head Smash, it has to risk the recall or even worse, the miss chance. But otherwise, that could be a good way to just burst through Kyle's very bulky Pokemon. So I'm really looking forward for the Rampardos game, hopefully. Then of course I'm gonna talk about the Crocodile, which can be a decently to the Ceruledge, which is by far Kyle's scariest Pokemon, with Intimidate to lower its attack while resisting his Ghost move, and taking still a good amount from Bitter Blade, but at least he won't be able to get necessarily one shot. But he has to be aware of close combat, of course. And I would say to at least bring some speed to the Crocodile in case the Ceruledge isn't boosted with a weak armor or Flame Charge. Since, I mean, even max defense can get overwhelmed, so might as well just be fast and strong enough. And then, of course, I want to bring the Porygon 2, which is a solid answer for his Hydrapple, because it has a special defense to, you know, survive Hydrapple. And on top of that, with Trace, it can get Regenerator, so it can just do anything it wants that isn't Recover, and then just switch out and just be healed as if it's Recover. And I think the moveset of Tri-Attack, Foul Play, and Ice Beam are perfect enough with Recover. Of course, Specs Hydrapple will do a lot, but at least you get the information that it specs. But yeah, I would say it's a good answer for that. I want to also mention the Tentacruel, because I think offensively it's actually pretty strong with the combination of Water and Poison. Which is, you know, the likes of Garg, Ceruledge, Hydrapple. It's pretty much just the likes of Araquanid and Hitmonchan that take it ahead on the special side. Swordsdance would be very heat. I could see it coming as well, since you could take advantage of Tentacruel being normally used as like a support with spin and everything. But of course, spin and toxic spikes especially can be deadly, since Kyle's poisonous type is the Galarian Weezing that wants Levitate for the Crocodile. Otherwise, you can just click Earthquake on it. Also, like Froslass as a way to protect, set the spike, or even set up Morph's hazard with the spikes, while also punishing Hitmonchan. I'm also seeing like some kind of Rocky Helmet to really ensure Hitmonchan to get chipped if he tries to not spin on Froslass. And then lastly, the Hatterene, because that would be the better Pokemon to take on the Garganacl. It blocks Stealth Frog, it resists Body Press, won't take much for Assault Cure, and with Cloak you block the Assault Cure effect. Well, still be at least bulky enough to survive a more offensive rock move in the Arc side of Stunage. As for Kyle's side, again, that Ceruledge, it can be very deadly if Crocodile cannot stop it. I would say like double stab, close combat, then maybe Swords Dance is better. Like if Crocodile is no longer there to like slow it down, it could go ham. I also like Bronzong because I mean, if how good Rampardos is, you need something to at least maybe slow it down, like maybe some kind of helmet. Then Weezing, like I mentioned before, for the Crocodile. Zephyr has good coverage here, and then the ability it can choose what it wants. Like I think it's Sepsipper more for the Superior, but can also respect Motor Drive or Lightning Rod for Galvantula. And maybe also some kind of mix set, like purely physical, but then intimidated by Crook, it will still be able to use a kind of strong Terra Blast. I also like Hitmonchan offensively here, like because it's just really Froslass if he gets to play around it right. And then last I would say Araquanid, since it's not bad with just anything when it's in. Like I have to be careful not laying down the web because you don't want to web itself. But overall, I would say Playmore is like in the matchup. Like I would say on a scale of 100, it would be 70 versus 30 for Playmore. Because it seems like this Pokemon can do much more than Kyle. But yeah. So I will lean for Playmore to win this matchup. And again, this doesn't mean everything. Just me saying this doesn't mean it will win guarantee. It's in the hands of the coach to make use of their tools. Maybe I took too much on this matchup. I'll try to go a little faster because there's like 7 of them to cover. But yeah, so that's our first matchup. Our second matchup is Ellie versus Gentleman Thomas. So for Ellie's side, Volcanion is a beast. Extremely strong and hard to take down for Thomas. I think I like a moveset that consists of Dual Stab, a Poison move, and Flame Charge to turn Volcanion into a fast sweeper that is hard to take down. I also I like Cacturne here as her Terra Captain. Like, at least very physically bulky to take a hit from Gator. Ice Punch Gator, that is. And also, I didn't put the Terra type, but I think Terra Ground is better. that gives her the super effective hit on Tinkaton, while still being immune to water from Gator with the water absorb. Then I'm gonna mention the cool fish is Suyin because you kinda need something to not immediately get down a Pokemon down by Staraptor. I also like Talonflame as a fast Pokemon for the matchup. Jolteon is faster, but I like Talonflame a little bit more here, offensively. And of course, Lucario is always strong, with useful priority for threats like the Staraptor, the Feraligatr, and the Salazzle. And then, lastly, I would say Serena, because it's a good Pokemon into Donphan for spin and everything. But also able to hit kind of hard in its own right. And then for Thomas' side, of course, it's just the Raptor. It's pretty much just a Quillfish. The moment Thomas gets a Brave Bird, something dies into a Quillfish. Or maybe Jolteon, if it's hard Jolteon on Staraptor, assuming. Still gonna mention the Feraligatr. I don't think it's a good sweeper here with how much priority Ellie has, and also Pokemon like Volcanion and the Quillfish. Like, sure, we can do Quillfish with Staraptor, but still, I feel like some kind of just a Gator that tried to brawl it out with some bulk, like maybe either in a Assault Vest or even a Cover Cloak if you plan on taking hit from Volcanion but you don't want to get burned by Steam Eruption. And of course, Aqua Jet could be decent priority for the likes of Talonflame and Jolteon. I also like Salazzle offensively here, despite the rain. Pretty hard to switch into its poison type moves, while also being like good into the comfy otherwise. Meliodas is also another strong special attacker that also like speed types Lucario unless it goes for priority. Again, that Donphan for physical variant of Lucario and Talonflame, while also being able to be sort of good into Jolteon outside of rain. And then Miss Magius as the last, because Shadow Ball is good, it's pretty much just a cool fish. So I would say this is a much closer matchup, because both sides can really just tear down the other with their threat. But I'm just gonna give Ellie the slight edge over Thomas, because she has the speed and priority advantage. So yeah, probably the match I'm gonna look forward to the most, with how close it can be the matchup. For the third one, it's Druby versus Nexus. Pretty exciting match to have between these two coaches. But as far as the matchup goes, for Druby, Cleavor, being his best Pokemon, looks... I mean, it's still gonna be Cleavor. Like, the Stone Axe is good. It's just really the Tauros, Paldea, Aqua, and the Swampert that'll be annoying. Outside of these two, it goes stupid with Stone Axe. And of course, I mean, it's still always useful because you want those Stealth Rock anyway. Then of course, there's the Phalanx that I want to mention. I mean, I'm not sure how good the no retreat set will be here, considering that you have big item dilemma. Like, you want like Metal Herb for like Prankster when it's got on core. You wanna have like maybe even Lum in case like a status from priority Sunspot Whim again. Also, I don't think you're gonna be like fast enough as well, for Scoffers, or even like tanky enough to survive like the priority at the end of Entei. But what I think could be actually be fun for the Phalanx would be Terra Fighting Scarf. Nexus has no Ghost type, is Bulkia's Answer or Rotom, and then the Terra Fairy, Executor, and Stone Joiner. And that's also something that I want look that could be cool. That it uses Cleavor to bait the Tauros to intimidate Phalanx instead. And then it's gonna be Choice Scarf, Terra Fighting. It punch very hard. I mean, of course, that's just one set and one that is least expected from a Phalanx, so I'm not sure it's gonna happen, but I have my hopes. Then of course, there's Blastoise that I can see like either being the bulky support to switch into Entei, then maybe flip turn out and also spin, or the Shell Smash variant that I'm not gonna overestimate. Sure, there's Whimsicott, but I believe with Druby, you're just gonna play with a cascade of sweepers and hard hitters, and not just one Pokemon you designed to sweep everything. Then there's the Typhlosion Isui, which the only ghost for this is the Mabosstiff. Like, Dragology is bulky enough to take Shadow Ball, but outside of that, it's pretty strong. I also like low kicks because you need something to, well, not immediately crumple to Espeon Psychic. Like, sure, you don't take that's doing well, but it's not like your team wants to take on Psychic either. And of course, its priority are still useful. And then last, I will Raichu just for the speed and coverage that it has, which is Nexus. And then as for Nexus side, I mentioned about the Paladin Tauros Aqua being a good answer for Tauros with Intimidate. There's also the part where we have to be careful about Phalanx, of course. I could see him not bringing Intimidate either if he really fears the Phalanx that much, but most of the time you're gonna be Intimidate. Then, of course, there's the Espeon that I mentioned that is very strong because the only Pokemon that can take a Psychic are the Lokix, the Dodrio, and assuming Terrestrial Phalanx, but you're not gonna switch Phalanx into Espeon more than likely. And I want to mention that Alolan Executor, which is a big threat, like it can be hard to take down with like some kind of Citrus plus RS, and especially with Trick Room. Like if you don't have Clodsire, this Executor is a menace. And then of course there's the Dragalge for the same reason as Espeon, where it's super hard to wall because of Dark Trio being the Steel type. And again, it's pretty much just Claude that can take it on otherwise. World Fan is also pretty annoying for Drew to deal with this Will-O-Wisp spam, or even just Full Switch and Air Slash and everything. Again, Claude. And then lastly, I would just put Entei because that's his best Pokemon. Sacred Fire is not a bad move to throw, and his priority is still useful. And if in case he has to face like some kind of defensive Blastoise, some kind of like Sunny Day Entei, like not just Solar Beam, just Sunny Day in general to make to take Surf in the face much easier. So I would say it's still a close matchup, I would say, but towards Nexus because his threat seems harder to wall than Droopy in comparison. Then next we're gonna have Shuckle versus Callum. On Shuckle's side, look at Gardevoir. The only Pokemon on Callum's team that doesn't necessarily die in one hit is Diablo-Mola, assuming special defense, special defensive, and even Assault Vest for that matter, because Gardevoir is just that strong. So like either you go Specs and just go Nuclear, or you go Squash to try to get the jump on the Mienshao, Regidrago, and Vroom unboosted. I also like Mandibuzz here because it walls a majority of Cal's team, with Foul Play being strong versus the likes of Vroom. And just being a decent check overall. Also being able to bring in Gardevoir with U-turn. Of course, Galarian Slowbro because it's very good versus Mienshao, Cal's first tier 1. I also like Electrode Isui here. There's Shaman, sure, but you can pretty much just force Shaman or Pheasant ability with Volt Switch. And also with Soundproof, you block Torch Song from Skeledirge and Bug Buzz from Vikavolt, so they have to either use a different move to hit you or just straight up use a different stab as a whole. Then I want to mention the Smeargle because the only hazard remover on Cal's team is that Sand Slash, which you can also even use Terra Ghost to ensure they stay up. And then last I would just put Rhyperior just as that one beefy Pokemon that can just hit hard on top of Shuckle's other Pokemon that hits also very hard. As for Callum, I want to mention Shaman. It's pretty much just Electro that can take his hit, but Electro doesn't do much in return. Does have to be worried about Bishop Defiant if it's not low enough on HP from a -2 Earth Power somehow. Or even just giving Defiant and then take a Sucker Punch to the face. Then Alola, like I said, because of the Gardevoir. Gardevoir can be a danger versus Shuckle in the right circumstances, especially if he gets like some lucky Ironhead flinches. Then the Skeledirge, because it can spread Will-O-Wisp pretty nicely. Like sure, there's Milotic with a Marvel Scale, but Chip is Chip, nonetheless. And then also have to keep in mind the Soundproof on Electro with Torch Song. I will put Honchkrow because you need something to not make Gardevoir always click Psychic, while also having some Sucker Punch priority. And then last, I will still mention the Sand Slash, with maybe some kind of Terra Dark set to take less from a Foul Play from Mandibuzz. You're still gonna get blown away by Moonblast anyway, but at least I could give you another Pokemon that can take a Psychic from Gardevoir. I would say Shuckle has the advantage over Callum. Like Cal has to be more of the receiving end. But who knows, maybe Vroom will clutch or something. Then next, we only have 3 more matchups to go for, and this one is Joey Pokemon versus Galvanate. On Joey's side, the only Pokemon that prevents Pecharon to absolutely go ham is that Alolan Muck. But besides that, I mean, obviously you're just gonna think of like just parting shot around and everything. I mean, just give me a second until I get to Nate. And then Rabombi, pretty strong. Like, normally you think of Ribombee to be just that one hazard lead with Sticky Web and that's it. But here, you can take advantage of Ribombee offensively more because it's fast. And look at Nate's team. The only fairy resist is that Pyroar, assuming it stays not Terra or it's Terra Fire. So some kind of offensive Ribombee with Specs or Pixie Blade can put a solid amount of damage despite the likes of Muk and Primarina. Or even Yusi. Then I would mention the Incineroar because it's a decent pivot into next team. We'll also be able to resist fire from Pyroar if it goes choice, to be able to pivot around it more easily. I also like Registeel as a way to not let Primarina hit too hard immediately. We'll also be able to resist normal from Pyroar if it's again basically being the Incineroar and Registeel core to stop Pyroar's stab if it goes choice. Otherwise, if it doesn't go choice, then it has the fastest Pokemon for it. Then I want to say the Flapple, because, I mean, obviously, also Flapple hits very, very, very hard with Graveapple. You even have that Registeel to gravity up. Not sure if you'll be able to make use of it. But if it does, even Cobalion gets two-shot by the Graveapple because of the gravity boost and the defense drop from Graveapple. And even then, you don't even need to rely on gravity necessarily. You can just use it on the likes of Mudsdale to get an attack immediately. And then last, I'll put Noivern just as a way to have a second fast Pokemon. Like probably like this one would be more the end game sweeper, whereas Ribombee would be the mid game attacker. So that way you can take advantage of Pokemon like Primarina being chip to open Noivern for the end. As for Nate's side, I didn't mention that Muk for the Pachyrant. Probably, if you really want a hard kill like Pachyrant, you're doing the Clear Amulet because that blocks Parting Shot as a whole. Meaning that the only move that will hit you hard would be the Nightshade. But then of course you also want to have moves like a Pain Split to stay healthy versus Pachyrant. And even maybe even Haze if you don't want to just be set out fodder for Nasty Plot because yeah, Pachyrant can take on knockoff from Muk very easily. Then I didn't mention that Primarina. It is pretty strong. But it's slow, so it could be get overwhelmed. Maybe we could see like a Blunder Sting set to try and make up for the lack of speed, or at worst you just put something to sleep. It's not really reliable because it pretty much goes to a coin flip, but I want to mention the possibility. Then I didn't mention Pyroar being a super strong wall breaker versus Joey's team. Like sure, Scarf gets it to jump on the faster Pokemon, or Specs just nuclear. But I think you also want to have that freedom of moves selection. Like I think Terra Normal is better, but I can also see Terra Fire to keep the fire resistance. Heck, maybe we can even see Baby Pyroar, you never know. And then I want to say the Mudsdale because it's a physical wall for the Heracross that can also sell procs. We'll also be able to switch into Registeel, which Registeel can only at best sell procs but not hurt Mudsdale whatsoever due to the loss of Seismic Toss. Cobalion. I'm thinking like Scalm and Cobalion here. Joey's faster Pokemon are special attackers, so you can just boost your special defense, and also you can just hit Pachyrant on its weaker special defense and not physical defense, and Incineroar cannot toy with you with Intimidate either. And then last I would say Yuxi just as a tanky Pokemon with utility. I would say Joey has the advantage here more because again he has the speed. I really think his special attackers can overwhelm Nate. So I'm gonna give the edge to him more, but we'll see. Then, what I think will be the game of the week in terms of matchup alone, we have Cherokee versus Jack. So here, that Goodra is super thick here. Pretty much be able to take on all of Gravy's special attackers like Raikou, Armor Rouge, Florges, and Didi. You just want to be careful to not essentially switch into a trick to make Goodra less useful. I also like Tornadus here because it is strong as long as you land your flying move, obviously, unless you go like physical. Also it's very minor, but just imagine a set of Tornadus as a way to shut down Alucha with priority Tailwind to fight back the Unburden, but also even Sticky Barb to punish the Unburdened Lucha, because the way Sticky Barb works is that if you have no item and you make contact with a user of Sticky Barb, then you get the Sticky Barb yourself. So that's a way to just nullify the Unburden on Alucha. It's very niche and specific, but that would be, I thought it would be funny to mention. I also like Crawdon because despite the terrain, the aquanet is still useful to have, especially if you can just stall the terrain. And not that you really want Crawdon to be that guy, but you can also just accept the possibility like a bulky like Crawdon with like Assault Vest. You wouldn't think about it, but if you invest into Crawdon's special defense, you'll be able to take a hit from like a common boosted aura shot from Armor Rouge. Not sure you want this, but again, mentioning the possibility. Next, I like Bramble Gas just because the spikes are useful here, and that gives you a natural check into Torterra. Muck, I also like Terra Ground Muck here, like just as a brawler to take special hits and then be able to dish big damage back. Because Poison in Ground is very strong here, and also it can just be your second special wall that will bait all the trick from Indeedee and Florges for your Gudra to not suffer. And then last, I also want to say like some kind of offensive Gligar as well, because yeah, you have Hazard from Gligar, but I think Brambleghast can do them. Then you can just use Gligar to like set up a Swords Dance, or maybe even get an Agility. Just be a bulky setup sweeper because Earthquake and Dual Weak Beat, not gonna lie, that looks pretty strong. You can even have Hyper Cutter to block Scrafty's Intimidate, and also Quillfish, I guess. So, niche set, but I think it can succeed here. Because it has opportunity. And then for Gravy's side, of course, you have the right Q if you're able to weaken Gudra and Muk. It can go very hard. And then, of course, you have the Alucha, which I think can be a good late game cleaner. You just have to be careful about Crawdon priority because you're not touching terrain, and your Seed gives you special defense and not physical defense. Again, you have Armor Rouge as another way. You either use it as your late game or mid game breaker to try and weaken everything. And then, of course, Indeedee, because you want the terrain. But I would say also to make it not fully support, but also, of course, strong enough to deal with Crawdon, to not give it as many opportunities as possible. Scrafty is his better Pokemon to take on the Gudra because of like power and bulk, but you also, I don't think you wanna have AV because you don't wanna get run over by Iron Defense Body Press. You have to be at least bulky, but at least fast enough like to encore the Gudra to not get Body Press into an Iron Defense. And then I would say Loki, the Velusa, but not with like Fillet Away. I would say like some kind of Assault Vest to make it take a hit would be able to hit hard nonetheless because of Sharpness boosted stabs. Which, again, it's not what the Pokemon is known for, but I think it can look better than Fillet Away. But, of course, Fillet Away is Fillet Away. So, like I said, I would say this matchup is the closest one there is. Like, both sides can really win. Either Cherokee is able to survive the onslaught of Gravy's threat, or Gravy is able to just bulldoze Cherokee's team. I would say this matchup could be like as close as 50-50, or maybe for 55-45 on side. I would say it's very close. So that's the match I'm gonna expect the closest result. And then last, finally the last that I can talk about is Uzi versus Chase. So for Uzi's side, Okidogi is dummy strong. There's not really a Pokemon outside of Dribloon that I want to take it on. And you cannot even weaken it with Intimidate from Quillfish and Montop at all because of Guard Dog. Then I also want to say Kill Watchroll as a way to lure the Rotom Heat. It has Volt Absorb, so it blocks a Volt Switch, and you can invest it to survive a Hover-Heat. Kill Watchroll cannot do much to Rotom in return, but you can also use Endeavor to bring Rotom low. Because I feel like Rotom is the bigger threat on Chase team for Uzi, so be able to just trade Watch Roll for Rotom with some kind of Endeavor strategy, I think it can be worth. Not to mention you just block Volt Switch, so you cannot just pivot around for really. Then of course, the Delphox is very strong. It's pretty much just the Sylveon, Gastrodon, and DNC that can take its hit, but it's pretty much just Gastrodon and DNC that can also fight back into the Delphox. I also want to say Hunter, because sure, you have Overcruel and Empoleon, but they still take big damage from them, like some kind of Terra Ghost or Terra Fighting more. Of course, there's Terra Poison for possibility as well. Like, all three Terra types are good. It just depends on which do you want to hit harder. And then I want to say Slow King because it can be a nice pivot to take the damage on Seabass offense and then just bring your own offense. And then last, I will put the Dunsparce because it can be very annoying for Chase to deal with. You just remove it off the field. And then as for Chase's side, of course you have the Overcool to try and check Hunter while laying spikes. You can Pain Split to regen your health, or even use Destiny Bond if you want to get a cheeky KO while you get your Overcool gets taken down. And Motop also hits pretty hard here. Like with just like a stam move, triple axle, bulldoze to hit the Okidogi, and then you have Thief to hit the Slow King. With like so like you know Technician M on top. Then I want to say Empoleon as a way to annoy his team with knockoff to remove any boots for the spike of Overquill. Will be able to be a decent hit taker. Then I want to say Drift Bloom because you either want to have something that annoys Okidogi or you want to try some unburdened shenanigans. But of course, if you want to try and swoop with Drift Bloom, you're going to need a lot of chip to do so. And I want to say that the Servine with Alexandra does speed control with Choice Scarf and probably Terra Grass. Uzi is not a Pokemon that is first time released to grass outside of the Dipplin, but Dipplin is not very good here in my opinion, so that could be a good Servine game for that matter. And then last, again, I'm gonna mention the Rotom Heat. It's pretty much just Kilowatt. It will annoys it, or even set a Conda to force an overheat. But besides that, it can be very annoying to deal with. But I think Uzi has the advantage just because it has more power compared to Chase. But yeah, not sure how good I'll handle these this analyst work. But I hope I'll be able to do even better from one. It's my first time ever do this kind of work, so my apology if it's not that good. But yeah, I'm gonna do this every single week. And of course, I'm not forgetting, I have a little replay that I have made. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, that I did for one of the matchup that I wanted, like by using the ideas I had and see them already work in practice. That doesn't mean they're good. But yeah, so for this matchup, I know I could go with J. Ricky and Jack because I said it was the closest match. But I thought about doing the Nexus Druby matchup instead first. Because I thought that would be a cool match to showcase at first how this matchup can go. So yeah, as you can see, it features all the 6 Pokemon of each side that I mentioned in the analyst. And yeah, I can just show you for yourself. Like if it's pretty much a standard build. I have I have the Scarf Cleavor, I have the Scarf Flings I mentioned. This is Shell Smash Blastoise. This is Scarf Typhlosion with Shadow Ball. I believe it was Life. Yeah, it's offensive Life Orb Lowercase, I believe. And then I think last I put a Salves Raichu as a way to not get 2-shot by Espeon necessarily. And then for Nexus' side is the bulky Tauros with Helmet, like an offensive Espeon, but with ways to not get plagued by Lowercase. So I think I have like Protect and Substitute. I have offensive Executor, which can be very good here because I didn't mention Claude, so I didn't have Claude. And of course, there's also the Dragalge as well that can pair with the Trick Room for Executor, the Rotom Heat, and then the Entei. So let's see how my speculation pays off. With a lead of Cleavor to try and force in the Tauros input, maybe. But in the case of Executor, if you Terrasize to a Dragon, you're mostly safe with Cleavor. So here I can just U-turn out and just get the Trick Room going. And then boom. That's AV Raichu. For my Terra Dragon Max Push Attack Executor. Side Shock does damage, but then you have the Citrus Berry healing you off. You get the RS again, so you get the Citrus for later. Here you can just kill and get more HP from Giga Drain. Then you low kicks. You try to priority to hit it hard but not hard enough. It survive. And then he kills low kicks. So he gets the RS again, so he gets healed again in the same turn. So then you get Typhlosion, takes so much damage. So he tries to just finally kill Executor, which it will despite having a third Citrus Berry activated, no roll whatsoever, you just die. Note that my Executor was just max HP, so it wasn't like optimally invested. It could have probably survived this if I just invested like rightfully in every stat, but I just went a simple route, okay? Then go for a Tauros to just have the Aqua Jet for the Typhlosion. And then Blastoise trying to Shell Smash on it like it's nothing. Except Blastoise has nothing to set up on the... to just KO the Tauros unless you go like Hyper Beam. I also have Substitute on it, but I couldn't go for it because then you just get picked up by Aqua Jet. And then you have the Terrifying CC after you just chip Tauros. Yeah, like I said, the Scarf Phalanx with close combat. But then yeah, it's nothing I can do. Look at how much it did to Rotom. That's like max HP Rotom. It would have taken much more if it was at +1 after Defiant. Of course, then the Reflect because Derby's team is mostly physical, so a Reflect is nice to have. T-Ball finishes it off. Cleavor kills Rotom through Reflect with Stone Axe. Then Dragology because it's bulky, can take any hits, especially with Reflect. Goes for a Pulse. That's just enough to put it in range of HP anyway, even if it crits like this. Okay, that might not be a good replay to start off first, but I thought it was funny that I showed some a little Executor gaming, so I think I take it back. I think Derby needs Clodsire. That's why I told to myself once I did this match, like he needs Clodsire, there was Executor just gaming. But yeah, again, I hope you guys will appreciate my style of the analyst work. If not, that's not too bad. You have the real match to just look at instead anyway. And yeah, I mean in general, I hope you're gonna please this season of the P4G because I am. Low tier is fun to watch. And on that, I will just talk to you guys for next week for when I'm gonna cover for the second week of the P4G matchup. See you guys then.